I chose my project about leaky gut because that appears to be an ailment that my wife suffers from. This presentation is going to talk about an overview of what leaky gut is, what are some of the causes, what are its most common side effects, and what are some treatments or what are some things that can be done to help alleviate some of the symptoms and some of the problems associated with leaky gut. Leaky gut occurs when the tight junctions between the cells lining your intestinal wall become widened and allow large molecules of undigested foods, toxins, bacteria, and even yeast such as Candida to enter the bloodstream where they do not belong. These toxic substances irritate the intestinal lining, causing inflammation that eventually leads to gaps or holes in the intestinal wall. This allows the flow of these toxic particles to leak into the bloodstream, which causes an immune reaction in your body that creates a vicious cycle of increased intestinal inflammation and an increased leaky gut. The scientific name for leaky gut is increased intestinal permeability. When people think of leaky gut, inflammatory bowel disease such as celiac disease, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel disease, and colitis come to mind. However, current medical literature is now connecting leaky gut with various autoimmune deficiencies and diseases, along with depression, anxiety, and a host of other brain-related symptoms. Some of the most common causes of leaky gut may be antibiotic use, which throws the flora in the gut out of balance, stress, gluten, soy and soy lecithin, processed foods, eating on the run, not chewing our food fully, and non-balanced diets. In other words, diets that are overloaded in one area or another without giving full access to all of the food groups. These are some of the most common effects of leaky gut syndrome. This is not all-inclusive, but it is some of the effects that happen most often in people who struggle with this illness. Brain fog, which may be described as feelings of mental confusion or a lack of mental clarity. Thyroid impairment. One of the main enzymes for thyroid, sulfatase, can be impaired in persons with leaky gut, usually causing the thyroid to become less active. Autoimmune illnesses may be related to leaky gut. Many doctors are coming to believe that there is a definite connection between leaky gut and these several diseases such as lupus and Hashimoto's disease, amongst others. Muscle and joint pain. During episodes of leaky gut, joints and muscles may become inflamed and very sore. And one of the most common is food sensitivities. Sensitivities to certain foods, not necessarily allergens, can be very triggering to symptoms of leaky gut syndrome. Let's look first at the brain fog. One of the most profound discoveries coming out of leaky gut research is how leaky gut and inflammation impact the brain. The gut is known as our second brain. It contains nervous system tissue and produces more serotonin, which is a brain transmitter, than the brain does. Comments such as "I have a gut feeling" or "when I'm nervous I get sick" can now be easily explained. Also, the brain and the gut both develop from the same embryonic tissue. The intestine and the brain are intimately connected in that they communicate with each other in the secretion of gastric enzymes, gastric blood flow, and the rate of digestion. So when you have leaky gut, toxins not only inflame the gut lining, but they leak into the bloodstream, flow throughout your body, and into your brain. Therefore, a toxic gut can equal a toxic brain. Various other brain impairments may be associated with leaky gut and include depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and poor memory, dyslexia, dementia, and autism, among others. Another factor affecting the brain is the neurotransmitter serotonin. Serotonin acts as a regulator of cell communication strength. The more serotonin there is, the more sedate a person is, or the lower the intensity of the communication. Less serotonin means a stronger receptor reception. Most people don't realize that as much as 90% of the serotonin in the body is found in the gut. Once the gut becomes inflamed, then the access of serotonin can be impeded, resulting in lower serotonin levels. Consequently, the intensity of the synapses to carry out the important communication needed for the brain to function efficiently is heightened, causing brain fog or a host of other maladies. We know that thyroid hormones strongly influence the tight junctions in the stomach and the small intestine. These tight junctions are closely associated areas of two cells whose membranes join together to form the impermeable barrier of the gut. T3 and T4, two thyroid hormones, have been shown to protect gut mucosal lining from stress-induced ulcer formation. In another study, endoscopic examination of gastric ulcers found low T3 and T4 and abnormal levels of reverse T3, another thyroid hormone. Likewise, thyrotropin releasing hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone both influence the development of the gastro lining. T4 presents overexpression of IEL cells, which in turn cause inflammation in the gut. One little known role of the gut bacteria is to assist in converting inactive T4 hormone into active T3 hormone. About 20% of T4 hormone is converted to T3 in the gastrointestinal tract in the forms of T3 sulfate and T3 tridothyroacetic acid. The conversion of these into the active T3 form requires an enzyme called sulfatase. Where does sulfatase come from? Healthy gut bacteria. Intestinal dysbiosis, an imbalance between pathogenic and beneficial bacteria, significantly reduces the proper conversions of the inactive hormones to active T3. Inflammation in the gut also reduces T3 by raising cortisol. Cortisol is the body's defense against inflammation. When the gut becomes inflamed from leaky gut condition, cortisol is released. Cortisol decreases the active T3 levels and increases levels of the inactive hormone reverse T3. Another side effect of thyroid problems are muscle and joint aches. One of the functions of the thyroid is the regulation of cellular metabolism. When the thyroid function is disturbed, cell metabolism can be impeded and cause a buildup of toxins. Toxins that leak from the gut may also settle into the muscles and joints, causing further pain and discomfort. Another important function of the gut is to host 70% of all the immune tissue found in the body. This portion of the immune system is collectively referred to as GALT, or gut-associated lymphoid tissue. The GALT comprises several types of lymphoid tissue that store immune cells, such as T and B lymphocytes, that carry out attacks and produce antibodies against antigens. Problems occur when either of these protective functions of the gut are compromised. When the intestinal barrier becomes permeable, large protein molecules escape into the bloodstream. Since these protein molecules do not belong outside of the gut, the body mounts an immune response and attacks them, causing the inflammation. Studies show that these attacks play a role in the development of autoimmune diseases such as Hashimoto's. One of the most common symptoms of leaky gut is food sensitivities. As certain foods break down, they release leptins into the body through the leaky gut. Normally, these toxins are not found in the bloodstream but remain in the intestinal tract. But once they are in the blood, they cause many of the other reactions talked about. People may attribute these reactions, such as fatigue, muscle aches, brain fog, to overwork or some other cause, and not even realize that foods are causing their down feelings. Depression and moodiness can also be brought on by food sensitivities. Sensitivities are not the same as allergies and will not show up on an allergen test. Therefore, it is imperative that people who think they may have leaky gut eliminate food from their diet to see what is affecting them. The main food groups appear to be the nightshade plants such as bell peppers, tomatoes, and hot peppers, etc. Other common food sensitivities for sufferers are mushrooms, soy, wheat, other forms of gluten, as well as potatoes, peanuts, and other legumes. So the question is, what can then be done about leaky gut syndrome? First of all is to avoid foods containing the lectins. A Google search would easily pull up a list of these foods, besides the ones that we've already talked about. Avoid anything that might be any kind of a gut allergen, such as the soy and the wheat and the gluten-containing products. Soy is a common product found in almost everything you buy, and it takes close diligence to make sure that your food doesn't contain it. Sugars should be avoided. Sugars aid in the production of yeast in the intestinal tract, which crowds out the beneficial bacteria trying to do its job and produce its sulfatase in order to help the body produce the hormones it needs. Avoid processed foods and their additives. Eat more vegetables, especially raw vegetables. Get the healthy fats such as omega-3s from fish oil. Ingest less toxins in the form of pesticides and other insecticides that may be on your foods. Try to go as much organic as you can. Take probiotics. Things such as kefir, yogurt, and these sorts of food have a lot of the very good probiotics that our bodies need to function effectively. And promote health and recovery lifestyle. Make sure you get enough rest, get your exercise, eat a balanced meal, and make sure that you're in line with all the other things that we've talked about. If we do these things, then we can help to combat the feelings that come with leaky gut syndrome. Another thing that can be done that's being talked about lately is the paleo diet. With some minor adjustments, the paleo diet appears to follow all of these guidelines in helping people to not only overcome the symptoms, but to eat wisely and promote the healing of their gut to cure what's causing these problems in the first place. And remember, my wife is not only the president of the Leaky Gut Society, she's also a sufferer.